Some would say modernization destroyed some of India's oldest traditions. India's cities are booming, new beliefs and customs rival old practices, and India may even be in a new era of politics. This narrative is false and short-sighted. Traditions have never disappeared, they have always evolved, and no tradition has evolved more over the past 70 years of Indian democracy than has caste. Gone are the days when politicians would openly state that people of lower castes are inferior or unclean. Few believe that previous lives' actions cause people to be born rich or poor. Yet, India's caste system has far from disappeared, and the sweeping changes to India's caste system over the past 70 years are actively driving political polarization. A report by NDTV found that dog whistle language used by senior politicians targeting religious minorities and scheduled caste members has increased by 500% since 2014. The sharp increase in the use of divisive political language is a massive red flag for Indian democracy. Yet this is just one symptom of an issue that has its origins in the Indian Constitution itself. The creators of India's constitution were well aware of the nation's millenniums-long tradition of disrespecting and mistreating scheduled classes, which is why India's constitution takes steps to protect their rights and representation. Seats in Lok Sabha are automatically awarded to members of scheduled caste, and untouchability is explicitly prohibited. In the decades ensuing the signing of the Constitution, the Indian National Congress Party would dominate politics. With a platform that advocated for secularism and an active progressive government, they slashed across caste divides and cobbled together a diverse coalition drawn from scheduled and upper caste alike. The coalition was the Goliath of Indian politics until the late 70s. However, the creeping David of caste divide was emerging by the end of the 60s to challenge Congress's rule. In 1967, Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam swept state elections in Tamil Nadu on a platform that appealed to those scheduled caste members dissatisfied with what they viewed as a Brahminic-dominated government. Congress was simply outmatched in their ability to appeal to those displaced by the caste system through social programs and government reform. Bit by bit, over the next decade, Congress lost its ability to hold together a pan-caste coalition. By 1977, a new political structure had emerged. It now seemed impossible for one party to have the dominance that Congress once possessed. Yet the need for parties to scrape together enough voters to win an election did not disappear. The left and the right would spend the next 5 decades exchanging blows through different approaches to coalition building. Leftists in India advocated for social programs that would combat poverty, promote education, and redistribute land to resolve India's class inequality. Through this, they argued, caste tension would fade away into non-existence after being hit with a tidal wave of economic equality. The right wing of India attempted to create a pan-Hindu political identity and focused on national pride as a way of bridging caste divide. They focused on the inequality between India and the world, less on the inequalities within India. Although the right wing would not become a major force in Lok Sabha until the 90s, they had already begun to challenge the left's political power by the 70s. By the 1980s, political polarization in India had moved from its infancy to its teenage phase, yet the growth spurt in the 90s of political polarization was a shock. The Mandal Commission, created in 1990, brought sweeping changes to India's job and affirmative action systems. Many who had previously been denied work due to their caste were given employment, and this commission was hugely popular to the 52% of Indians who were registered to a scheduled caste. Because a majority of Indian people were benefited by this commission, politicians could no longer be caught publicly opposing this set of policy programs. Doing so would be political suicide, Parties would now compete with each other to earn scheduled caste votes by maneuvering to get votes based off of caste. India's caste system is far from simple. Members of one caste can be from completely different economic, religious, and political backgrounds. A Yadav could be an agricultural laborer or a landlord, two occupations with vastly different political agendas. Issues like unemployment, lack of clean water, and famine take center stage in Indian politics. There is an overwhelming consensus that government action is needed through social programs to fight these problems. However, members of different castes have different opinions on how these programs should be carried out. Politicization originates from the natural divergence of opinion that comes from how to help members of scheduled castes. Castes with a strong emphasis on Hindu tradition are likely to vote for the BJP. Castes that have religious minorities or favor religious tolerance are likely to vote in favor of the INC. In either case, caste is used by politicians to unite and divide Indians to suit their political goals. A BJP politician can use Hinduism to unite people that might not otherwise have a strong relationship using religion. However, that platform would likely alienate Muslims. Caste appeals carve up and glue together people. It serves as a positive to build coalitions to make reforms, and as a negative to make Indian people resent each other. Caste by itself is not bad, yet the way that modern political parties are using it is leading the country down a dangerous path. One of the most troubling aspects of India's political divide is on social media. BJP social media posts revolve around the strategy of virtual signaling Hindu constituents. Equally as important are the chat rooms which are used to mobilize constituents and voters. In both cases, the BJP hype up their base to be more supportive of their party, less supportive of Congress, and loyal to Narendra Modi. INC social media posts upplay economic divides and inequality, and frequently accuse the BJP of being capitalist racist cronies. Despite this strategy, INC has been outcompeted by the BJP in recent years, though this may change. The most horrifying part of India's political polarization has been the spike of killings against Muslims motivated by religious hatred. Some of these stories have originated from false news stories spread on BJP WhatsApp chat groups. The BJP are not at direct fault, yet their unhealthy silence has created a climate ripe with hate. India is in a problematic political era, but its politics are not broken. The BJP have been able to use caste to their political advantage through masterful appeals to Hinduism. It is unlikely that this appeal will lose its shine in the next decade. But this does not mean that politics need to be as divisive as they are now. Restrictions on dog whistle language and a genuine attempt by one party to move and soften its stance on controversial issues could serve India's political system very well.